Oh boy, here we go. Finally, I get to do this video. I have been bricked up all week waiting for this moment so I can give you all this information. But first, we kind of have to talk about how we got here. So back in mid 2022, people thought wanted to do a review team, find out why all these pedestrians and grape smuggler bicyclists were getting hit by trucks, cars, SUVs, you name it, someone's getting hit by them. So the Indianapolis City Council, they decided to have a whole committee on this thing. They're not calling it a committee. I'm calling it a committee. It's more of a commission or a board, but they started up in early 20 or mid 2022, finalized it in the summer of 2022, and then it got really secret after that because I couldn't figure out who was actually on the board. They were approving two board members, but there was supposed to be somebody from the IMPD, and I think just a civilian that wanted to be involved with it. So after that, they started doing all these reports. They were having meetings, and I couldn't find anything on it. So earlier this year, I started asking questions about it, or earlier in 2023, I started asking questions about it, and I was not getting any answers. So about a month or so ago, the Indianapolis City Council wanted to amend the Fatal Crash Review Team, which was about they wanted to add serious bodily injuries in addition to the fatal crashes. And if you remember in one of my earlier videos, I said it's because they're not getting the results that they wanted. They were going to flub up the numbers to make this board make sense. So I emailed them, and it wasn't that easy actually. So the very first thing that I did is I emailed them and I asked them, like, where are these reports at? Are these meetings recorded? And if they are, where is the videos? And is the public allowed to be part of the meeting? So the very first one I got was from Imelda Oxbley. And she goes, "Thank you for your email. You will need to submit your request at, here's the address." And at the end it says, "a public record." I was like, you got to be kidding me. I have to send in a FOIA request for this public information? So that's exactly what I emailed them back. Now, fortunately, I got somebody else this time who is the public information officer from DPW. And they answered it pretty well. And they said they gave me the website address, which we're going to go to here in a little bit. But I wanted more information about how I attend these meetings. So finally got to the point where she said these meetings are open to the public but are not recorded, as the Fatal Crash Review Team is not a council committee. Paper notices for the meeting are posted in the lobby of the City County building and outside of the Department of Metropolitan Development. What does that tell me? Unless you go to the City County building each and every single day and you're seeing those notices, no one's going to know about them. So I emailed her back and wanted to know uh, what the fuck is the deal here? Can I get like on an email update? Is there going to be somewhere on the internet where I can check this whole thing out? But I haven't heard anything back. Just like OPHS, they haven't emailed me back. We'll see what happens. I'm not holding my breath on all of this. With that being said, everything that I said before and all these other videos talking about the Fatality Crash Review Team, I'm going to end up being right about. And there's some other things that are skewing people's ideas too, and we're going to talk about that at the end. Fuck it. We're going to talk about it now. This jerk off right here. This is why this whole team was created. A big thing that jumps out when you read enough of these reports is the vast number of unlicensed, uninsured, and/or habitually reckless drivers involved in these incidents. Almost every time someone like this is involved in an incident, it's used an excuse for the incident. This is just like Andy Nielsen when he was talking about at the Indy City Council meeting a few weeks ago when they amended this whole thing. He's like, well, we keep getting questions. It's like, why are we not getting enforcement? We just need enforcement. And his answer was what? Well, infrastructure is the silver bullet to all of this. And I even laughed at him because we all know that's BS. Enforcement is the key. What's the point of laws if they're not going to be enforced? And I gave my example of what I was talking about. Hey, if you want to check this guy out, go for it. I don't care. And then we'll talk about something else after that, and how an example, kind of like if you ride a bike. I know there's some people out there that I like that we're good friends, and they ride a bike, and I trust that person. He's a very competent person, a very competent rider. But a lot of these people, they just can't share the road with cars, with SUVs, with trucks, whatever have you. And that's a shame. But let's get to the meat and the potatoes of it, because you're going to love it. And at the end, we'll talk about the numbers. So at the beginning, you're going to notice a trend here of how lazy they start getting. So they have all the people that are part of the board. They talk about the minutes. Yeah. Who cares? All right. We're going to do like 5 minutes of report because I don't want to be boring you guys. So, first one, the motorist was unable to give a statement. As they needed to be transported to the hospital, investigators found that the motorist has been driving eastbound on such and such when left the roadway and struck a utility pole on the passenger side. The motorist died several months later due to injuries sustained in a crash. Okay, why is this even in the report? Recommendation? None. Do they have prior offenses? No. High rate of speed? Unknown. Vulnerable, blah, blah, blah. Nothing. All we know, what you're going to notice a trend here too, SUV/truck. You want to know why? Because these grape smugglers hate big vehicles. That is their kryptonite. That is their. They can't handle any of it. If they see like a truck that's on 24s, they lose their mind. They go into this. They start shaking in the fetal position. It's actually very amusing. I've seen it in person. All right, next one. Now, remind you, you have to look at the date of when this whole thing occurred and the time. And we're in January right now, and it gets dark out at what, 5:30? So this is January 2nd, 2 days after New Year's at 8:43 p.m. Operator F-150 traveling. Oh no, what happened? Operator F-150 traveling northbound on Madison Ave just stopped north 11 when they struck a pedestrian crossing outside of an intersection. The crash area has incomplete sidewalks and long distance between the signalized crossing opportunities. This one makes sense, yeah. What is it? They don't have any sidewalks, so that late at night, that time of day, that person got hit by a truck. What was their recommendation? The project will add a multi-use, this whole, the interurban trail project. So that one makes perfect sense. You're going to notice a lot of these don't make sense why they're even on this report. And I got them all. I got them all right here. Printed them up. Next one. January 3rd, 3:39 a.m. What happened? The motorist involved in a single vehicle collision was operating a stolen sedan. What? Traveling at a high rate of speed. What? Motorist left the roadway at such and such while traveling southbound on Zionsville Road. Motorist and the vehicle struck a utility pole. RIP electronics pole. Right in the middle of me playing Fortnite. The motorist was killed. Vehicle caught on fire. While the street geometry was likely not a factor in this crash and the operator was traveling at an unsafe speed, there has been a history of water ponding on this stretch of roadway. What? 3:39 in the morning, guy's going fast, kills himself, kills the passenger. Wait, was there a passenger? No passenger. He just killed himself. Nothing in value lost. And you might think that's a little bit harsh, but he won himself a Darwin Award. What can I say? Bad driving at 3:39. We don't even know if this guy was boozed up because he was turned into a French fry. Next one, January 4th, 12:07 a.m. Hey, folks, just remember, nothing good happens after midnight. Go home, play with your kids if you have any. Maybe just chill out. And what happened? Motorist 1 has a prior conviction of driving without an operator's license. Weird, huh? I kind of wish we had some names because I'd love to go through my case on some of these people. Real quick, he was doing donuts in the intersection. A witness stated motorist 1 passed them at a red light and proceeded to enter the intersection at a high rate of speed. Motorist 2 was traveling west at 86th Street, also at a higher rate of speed, and entered the intersection. Motorist 2 collided with Motorist 1 and pushed Motorist 1 over the concrete median. Motorist 1 was killed. There's no engineering solution to this. However, it is indicative of broader poor behavior that has been observed by motorists on public roadways in recent months. So this guy was an idiot. Why is he even on the report? You noticing a trend yet? Hey, don't worry, we got plenty to go. Next one. Wait, where is it? There you go. January 7th. Yeah. Operator vehicle had 2 priors of driving without a license and speeding driving on a suspended license. Listen, morons. If you don't have a license, don't attract attention. It's really that simple, and you won't get pulled over. So what happened? They noticed 2 of 3 people who were in the vehicle had exited, but the third was trapped inside. It was noted that the operator of the vehicle lost control while traveling northbound on Emerson and slid sideways across the southbound lanes before striking a tree and a fence. The operator was not being cooperative with the investigation. Shocker. The trapped passenger succumbed to their injuries. It was a passenger? Or passengers. Passenger. And what's their recommendation? You know what? There's work underway. On Emerson, state undergoing significant rehab. If major modification to the cross section are feasible and appropriate. To me, that's driver error. Why is this even on the report? Moving on, 12:58 p.m., January 12th. Single vehicle crash striking utility pole. Operator vehicle was in too much pain to give a statement, but only know that they passed out a home. I think they meant at home, and were attempting to drive to an ER. The driver sustained head injuries and later died. Why is this in the report? Recommendation: none. Shocker. Another one, January 16, 10:22 p.m. What do we got here? Operative Unit 1 had 2 convictions of driving while intoxicated. We got ourselves another booze bag. 1 conviction of operating without a driver's license. Oh my God, I'm smelling scumbag. What about you? Excessive speeding. Oh, and endangering persons. Not just 1, but 2, multiple, several. And driving without working headlights. What the F? The operator number 2 had 5 convictions of driving under a suspended license and speeding. Listen, folks, this is what we call a double Darwin right here. Sometimes you got to pay extra for this, but today it's free at 10:22 p.m. on January 16, 2023. Witness statements noted that the driver of Unit 2 was turning north out on South Meridian, blah, 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 approached a high rate of speed with their flashers on. Witnesses state that they believe to be the speed of between 60 and 85 miles per hour. Folks, they were trying to go back to the future. Witnesses stated that U1 ran the signal at the intersection and struck U2. Bono, who was turning on a protected left. Always use protection. Unless you're me. The driver of U1 and a passenger in U2 were killed. RIP. Darwin Award. Another one. Nothing invaluable was lost. Listen. The trash takes themselves out, and I'm okay with that. You might think that's a little bit rough, it's crude, it's mean, but it's needed. We have to shame these people. This is how things are done. Moving on. January 27th, 6:38 a.m. Yeah. Motorist was driving along, blah, blah, blah. Motorist struck the pedestrian in the turn lane and stopped to provide aid and call 911. The pedestrian died. This was the second pedestrian fatality at this intersection since 2015. Okay, first off, it was very early in the morning. January 27th, probably no sunlight, right? The second one in what? Oh my God, 8 years? Whew. Okay, that one kind of makes sense. Makes sense, right? Couldn't see him, need more lighting. The recommendation... funding source has not been. It is recommended that the crash be documented and mapped to be used supporting data for capital grants to construct. So we need more money, is what they're saying. All right, January 31st, 9:46 a.m. It is believed this motorist had a medical emergency and passed away. Why is this in the report? Why? Moving on. February 8th, 2023, 10:57 a.m. Feel like I'm Code Cam Blue right now. Investigation concluded that motorists traveling southbound failed to maintain and cross the center line, striking V2. head on. Operator V1 was killed. I'm thinking this person was distracted, and that's what veered him off. That I don't 10:57 a.m. That's kind of might be checking out a map or something. Who knows? There's an unusual curvature to the road. Well, it's not possible. This one mapped out. Yada yada yada. Okay, next one. 9:30 a.m. Pretty early. Investigation concluded that the motorist was in a parking space and was preparing to leave. They put the vehicle in what they believed to be in reverse, but was actually drive. The motorist accelerated forward, striking a pedestrian on the sidewalk and pinning them to a nearby building. The pedestrian died of their injuries. That is actually very unfortunate. I'm kind of wondering if this person was very old. Probably. Maybe. If I had a name, I'd know. Next. All right. Did the motorist have a prior offense? Yep. Operator 1 was convicted of driving without a license in 2011, so a long time ago. He was traveling north. Motors were traveling south on Tibbs. Witness stated that they were following U1 when U1 made a sudden movement to the left of center. U2 was struck by U1. Operator V1 died. There was too little information from this available to effectively draw a conclusion. Distracted, probably 6:18 p.m. February. They're still light. Probably distracted on Tibbs. Why is this in the report? Anyway, circumstance. Motorist was drunk driving at a high rate of speed southbound on Knowlton. Motorist left the road and went airborne. He went Dukes of Hazzard, striking trees and rolling the vehicle. Motorist was not wearing their safety restraints and was ejected and killed Bond style. What can you do about that? Huh? So what do we got here? Total number of crashes reviewed, 13. Involving a vulnerable road user, 23, which is actually 3. This is what they do. They will just mess with they'll make it a percentage so it psychologically seems like it's more than it actually is. You know what I'm talking about. And this always makes me laugh out loud. Involving an SUV or truck, 46%. All right, proportion of crashes involving prior serious traffic offending, 30.6. 4 of them. Pedestrian fatalities, 3. Okay, 1. Oh, but we need to, if you want to, which I recommend, you go back and look at it. We got 1 drunk driving. We got 1 operator ran into a pole. 1 with a Darwin Award, and 1 you have no idea what happened. And 9 of those had no recommendations or close to no recommendations. Moving on. March, April. Let's go. We're going to speed run through this guy right now. Yada, yada, yada. Still got those people. Moving on. January 16th. I think that's it, right? Yeah. All right. Outside conditions were dark and wet. Waka. Investigation determined that the motorist was traveling at a high rate of speed. When they left the roadway, went through it, became airborne, struck several trees before the vehicle rode. Something out of a movie. Good God. The operator of the vehicle was pronounced dead at the scene of the crash. RIP. Section of Knowlton is already designed to be a low-speed, low-volume street. The cross-section is relatively narrow and traffic calming elements of street signs, signage, dead end with a pedestrian access to Knowlton farther south with blah, blah, blah. He won the Darwin Award. That's all you need to know. March 3rd, 12 p.m. Operator unit stated that the pedestrian on the opposite side of the road believed the pedestrian was about to dart and run across their lane. Motorists slammed on their brakes so hard they skid into the lane opposite direction travel, sending their vehicle into the pedestrian, striking them. At the time of the collision, the weather conditions were daylight but rainy. Motorist was not cooperative with investigating officers and refused a blood draw. Probably drunk. Probably drunk. And if you read the recommendation, they actually have no idea what happened because pedestrian was hit and the driver is being uncooperative. Moving on. The operator of the vehicle had a history of operating a vehicle without a license 2 times. 2 times operating a vehicle recklessly, endangering persons, and operating a vehicle while intoxicated. We got ourselves another boozer. He was traveling eastbound on Crawfordsville Road. Oh, actually, not far from me. in the westbound lane. Unit 2 was traveling legally in the westbound lane when Unit 1 collided head-on with Unit 2. They wanted to become one, and operator Unit 1 was killed. Upon much deliberation, the team members cannot find an engineering solution. The team believes this is a case of a habitual traffic offender who placed the public at risk. Interesting. Where is Ryan Mears? Where is the prosecutor's department? That's what I want to know. Nowhere to be found. Probably giving free YMCA tickets to juveniles. All right, next one. Uh, yeah. Operator vehicle had a lengthy history of driving on a suspended license, violating driving conditions, operating a motor vehicle after license forfeiture, operating a vehicle as a habitual traffic offender, and operating a vehicle while intoxicated 2 times booze bag. However, there is no evidence to suggest that the operator vehicle was under the influence or driving illegally at the time of the crash. A pedestrian in a wheelchair was at an unsignalized intersection and was crossing the street repeatedly in an odd manner, probably drunk, probably high, probably coked out, who knows, most likely on drugs. The intersection in question is not signalized, but a signalized crossing is available nearby. State control on the roadway, and the team therefore has no recommendation. However, the Blue Line BRT will be critical for this corridor. Will it though? Will it though? If there was a signalized crossing nearby and he didn't want to do it, where's this going to help? But we're moving on. We might just this whole thing is loaded up with habitual uh, traffic offenders. April 2nd, 7:30. The operator unit has a history of operating a vehicle while boozed up, driving on a suspended license, driving the wrong way on a road, running red lights, and other serious offenses. They have mostly recently charged with causing a death in a motor vehicle while intoxicated. This incident, the operator of Unit 2 has no prize. Where is Ryan Mears? Again, prosecutor's office not doing their job. No shocker there. Witnesses state that the operator of Unit 1 is driving eastbound East 10th Street. You can read the rest. Operator and front passenger 2 were killed in the crash. The backseat passenger was transported to hospital. Operator 1 survived in the crash and has been charged on the felony and misdemeanor counts. At a time, of tactical urbanism project has begun to evaluate East 10th Street and attempt to slow traffic and prevent people from using the continuous left lane illegally as a passing lane. While it is unclear if this configuration would have prevented the crash, the results of the tactical urbanism will be evaluated carefully. Additionally, Toombs notes that this was a case of a habitual traffic offender who was able to purchase a vehicle, operate it legally, despite demonstrating their inability to do so responsibly. This is what enforcement is all about. That's the whole point of enforcement. So these things do not happen. But for some reason, our court system, our prosecutor's office, our lead Nosferatu does not care. And those scumbag magistrates, those scumbag judges, do not give a shit about you. They will let scumbags back on the street without even blinking an eye. Yeah, this one kind of doesn't make any sense. The stretcher, we're just going to skip this. Oh, yeah, more say they were traveling. They lost control and hit a tree. The front seat passenger is declared deceased at the hospital at the time of the crash. It was dusk and dry. Basically, they don't know what happened. They have a high-speed, dangerous driving. It has a history of it. It's slated multi-mile. So this is kind of interesting what they're doing too, and I've noticed this near me. 2-lane roads are now starting to turn into 1-lane roads. So instead of enforcing the law, they're just gonna change the lane so they force you to go slow, which is costing you millions and millions of dollars instead of just enforcing the law. That's all you have to do. Next, the operative. Oh, yeah, here we go. The operative has a history of reckless driving at unreasonable speed to endanger safety and allowing unlicensed operators to drive their personal vehicle on the highway. So not only does he have a history of reckless driving, his friends are driving his car without a license too. Misery does love company. What can I say? All right, so the conditions were a little bit rainy and the sun had just set. April 2nd, 9:50. Yeah, okay. The driver stated they were in the inside lane to avoid ponding water. The reporting officer noted that they have found the operator of the vehicle with their vehicle and in stress. Motorists stated they did not see the pedestrian walking in the inner lane. There's a sidewalk, but it's in poor condition. It's only located on the north side of the street. So basically, there was no sidewalk. It was wet, but this they already kind of know about this. Unfortunately, the project was not selected for award in 2023, and the city will resubmit for the. See, this isn't a bad one, but you do have a habitual traffic offender, as usual. All right, report noted that the pedestrian was crossing outside of a marked crosswalk, but did not appear to cross at the intersection. There was lighting along South Meridian, and the incident occurred during dark hours, 5:50 a.m. in the morning. But the positioning of existing light poles likely would have not had any effect. It's clear why the pedestrian began to cross the street when there was no visibility issues and there was an oncoming motorist in an area outside of a marked crosswalk. Pedestrian's fault. Shocker. There's not enough information to draw an effective conclusion. Next. 2:30 p.m. Vulnerable road user. No. Hit and run. No. SUV truck. No. High rate of speed unknown. Prior offense, speeding 15 miles per hour over the speed limit. Circumstances, believe this was a medical emergency that occurred behind the wheel. Why is this in the report then? This is going to be in the report, but it shouldn't be, and it's going to be numbered. They'll they'll skew the numbers, and I just don't understand why this kind of bullshit is in the reports. Same thing with private property incident. Here we go. Motorists in question appear to have been lost or confused, driving around the building several times in the parking lot before backing into a second vehicle, backing into a ditch, and the vehicle catching fire. Yeah, that's kind of a mess right there. None. Private property incident. Why is this even a report too? Next. Operator of a Jeep was traveling southbound on Kevin Way when they struck a bicyclist. I'm sorry, I shouldn't be laughing, but I'm just envisioning that. The operator of the motor vehicle stated that the bicyclist was swerving from side to side when they attempted to pass the bicyclist on the left over a double yellow line. The motorist could not get over any further due to oncoming traffic. This, folks, was caused by the bicyclist. 100%, no doubt. And he's pissing off the guy in the truck, in the Jeep, because he just wanted to go around. While the team has no engineering recommendations, we do wish to make it known that there may be a need for an educational campaign surrounding how to safely pass vulnerable road users. Hey, guess what? Asshole, get off the road. All right, next. Operator, blah, 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 blah. We might actually skip that one. Yeah, we're going to skip that one because it's just another habitual. Let's just look at the habitual. Operator vehicle in 2020 was convicted of driving without a valid driver's license and speeding within a work zone. They were caught speeding again in March of 2023. The operator of the vehicle had no valid insurance at the time of the crash. Shocker. It's believed that the pedestrian was walking in the bike lane. There was no sidewalk, and then the pedestrian was struck by the motorist. Need a sidewalk. I get that part. Habitual. I'm gonna sound like a parrot. Habitual. Unit 1, motorcycle. Has a lengthy history of driving on a suspended license, driving at unreasonably high speeds like they all do, operating a vehicle on a scheduled substance, coke, and using a vehicle to commit an offense, theft. Operator of a motorcycle had no insurance. Operator of the sedan had a history of driving on a suspended license, even recent, of March 2023. This was like a month ago before this incident. And I remind you at 4 in the morning. Disregarding signals, driving on a suspended license 7 times. 7 times, are you shitting me? Disregarding signals, operating a vehicle with expired plates, driving with an open containers of alcohol, operating a vehicle while intoxicated 2 times, and speeding in work zones. How is this guy even driving? That doesn't make any sense. Caught with a suspended license 7 times and has 2 DUIs and even has some Budweiser on the passenger seat. What are we doing here? Unit 1, the motorcycle was northbound. Unit 2, they were both northbound. The operator of the motorcycle lost control due to an unknown reason, probably coked out, and was ejected from the motorcycle. The operator of the sedan then ran over the motorcyclist, and he died. While the crash didn't necessarily result from poor driving habits, the number of convictions and history of reckless driving among the two persons involved in the crash is alarming. That's what I'm talking about. The section of post is being slimmed down and having a BRT station added. Future development. But here we go again. You know, what the fuck? Like, neither of these two should be able to drive right now. But what you have here, Ryan Mears was just on a radio show with Abdul talking about how he was so happy to get people their license back so they can make sure they go to work every single day or whatever they're doing, or killing themselves or killing other people. This one happens all the time. Someone gets sideswiped. It literally happens all the time. But total number of crashes reviewed 14. Two of them are pretty dumb. Uh, Proportional crashes involving a vulnerable road user 42.8. Six of them. Proportional crashes involving prior traffic offenses 7. And here we go. We got once got hit in the side, which is this one. One ran over by a car, motorcycle. One drove too fast and got Darwined. One probably drunk, and 2 people who were killed by a repeat offender. Lame, lame, lame. Lame, lame, lame. They're all lame. You see? They're all lame. Next one. Yeah, don't worry. Okay, so you notice that people are missing this time. I mean, this one has 17. 17, and I know you're getting tired of it, but I do want to we're just going to go through a couple of them this time, okay? Let's see. I want to do the May 1st. Okay, operator one single vehicle incident was traveling northbound on Hinsdale. When they left the roadway and struck a tree, following the collision with the tree, the vehicle caught fire. It isn't clear why the motorcycle left the roadway oversteered. There was no other information and available reports that would have indicated a design, education, enforcement solution. No recommendation. You're going to notice a trend on here when you're going through all of these. There's a lot of no recommendations, and I have the final tally at the very end. Let's see. We're going to do a May 23. Yeah. Vehicle 1 was traveling southeastern while the operator crossed the center line for unknown reasons. Collided with V2. Operator of V1 is pronounced deceased at the hospital. Probably distracted, if I had to guess. Probably distracted. 4:10 in the afternoon in May, most likely. We got a lot of bad drivers. We got a bunch of repeaters over here. All right, let's see. This one, where is it? Which day was this? Why is that showing up? May 24th. Yeah, okay. Operative motorcycle was traveling eastbound on East Washington Street when they ran the red signal and struck a passenger vehicle who was making a northbound left turn on westbound East Washington. The operator via 1 was ejected from the motorcycle and was killed. It was concluded that the new bridge carrying ice over East Washington did not pose a visual impediment. The signal is ahead. It's unclear why the motorcycle ran at this signal. We know why. In the future, the intersection will be reconfigured to accommodate the blue line BRT and incorporate safety. Additionally, this intersection is controlled by INDOT, and the team has no further recommendations. Shocker, shocking, whatever. We're going to do June 5th. Okay, operator V2 is Georgian. Driving records cannot be accessed. Operator of van was going straight to Southport when they collided with V2. Traveling southbound Madison Ave at a right angle. It is unclear which motorcycle had the green light. Passenger V2 succumbed to their injuries. Due to this being an INDOT-controlled intersection, they had no recommendation. Shocker, shocking, right? I mean, this is what we're going to see a lot of when you start going through these by yourself. All right. Here we go. Here's a good one. Operator of the motorcycle. V1 has a lengthy history of operating a vehicle while intoxicated, operating a vehicle while endangering a person, and driving on a suspended license. Operator V2 has a history of driving on a suspended license. We got two dipshits again, folks. Operator of vehicle 3 has a history of driving on a suspended license. Oh my God, we got a menage a trois of dipshits. Shocker, not shocking. Operator Vehicle 2 stated that she was eastbound 34th Street, making a left into the Hawthorne, and that she did not see the oncoming motorcycle. What time of day was this at? 8:32 p.m. There's still daylight. Motorcycle collided with the passenger side of V2. Operator third vehicle was eastbound behind V2. Swerved under one. The motorcycle was ejected from the vehicle. The operator swerved to miss the ejected motorcycle and struck the motorcycle. The operator V1 was killed. There's not to be any major obstructions which would prevent the visibility of oncoming motorcycle. It is unclear as why the operator V2 made a turn prematurely. No recommendation. Another no recommendation. Let's go to June 25th, Washington Rural. Here we go. Operator V1 stated they were turning left from eastbound Washington Street to northbound Rural. I know exactly where that's at. Traveling to westbound on Washington Street, he ran the red light and struck the turning vehicle. The bicyclist was taken to the hospital for possible drug overdose. Probably Probably a homeless guy that was on drugs. But he died several days later. It was later learned, though, obtained video footage, that the operator of V1 falsely claimed the bicyclist had run the red light and the bicyclist had the right of way, and V1 failed to yield. So this was a very cognitive. He was aware. He was a crackhead that was aware, most likely. And, they just talk about the blue line, of course. But at the very end, 17 crashes reviewed. 8 of them came from priors. Okay, so if you go through that all by yourself, you're going to see one Darwin, one distracted, one dumb motorcycle, one drunk driver, another motorcycle Darwin, another motorcycle Darwin, another motorcycle Darwin, and one dumbass that went through a red light. All right, folks, this is dessert. This is actually my favorite one out of all of us. This was the November 14th one, and this covered between July and August. And OMG, there is a lot. I mean, most of these are all Darwins. Um, and you notice here again, they're not putting their names on there. Let's see here. There's a lot of these are like, why is this even on the report? I don't want to waste all of your guys' time. I think there was one I wanted to go through, August 13th. Yeah. All right. Operator vehicle had one prior instance from operating on suspended. Both units were traveling eastbound on 30th Street, approaching Orchard. Is that right? Yeah. The motorcycle was driving in the eastbound lanes of 30th Street, while the bicyclist was riding against traffic in the westbound lane. The motorist made an illegal passing maneuver over the double yellow lines in an attempt to pass a slower motorist. It was then noticed another motorist coming at them head on. They swerved into the bicyclist, striking them, and then jumped to the sidewalk before re-entering the roadway and fleeing the scene. Bicyclist died. The motorist was located and arrested. It is unclear why the motorist fled. The stretch is identified as the reason to receive a multi-use path to provide a safer path for pedestrians and bicyclists. This is another example of why there should be no bike path or sidewalk off of a highway. Right now, there's plans from the Modern Rock Road Project from do the same thing. There's also, I forgot the name of it, Repeal 70, Repel, no, 70, Repel 70. They're wanting to do the same thing off of I-70 where you can ride your bike or take a nice stroll that has vehicles going 70, 80 miles per hour on the highway, and you think they're not going to be boozed up at some point and crash over there and take somebody out? You guys are crazy. But let's see, I think we got one more. which is August 15th. Okay, here we go. Operator of motorcycle had one conviction of operating a vehicle on a suspended license, one conviction of operating a motor vehicle without a financial responsibility, and one conviction of driving with an open container of alcohol. Operator of pickup had 6 prior convictions of driving on a suspended license and one prior conviction on an unsafe start. The motorcycle was traveling. Witness states that the police officers responding to another incident nearby reported the motorcycle traveling at a high rate of speed and popping a wheelie just prior to the crash. Operator of vehicle 2 was making a northbound left turn and heading west and collided with vehicle 2 on passenger side. Operator of vehicle was pronounced dead on the scene. It was noticed that the operator of the pickup truck took a turn on a relatively high rate of speed as they were taking the turn in a shallow fashion. The review team raises concerns about both operators being behind the wheel of vehicles past on their, I think it's based on their past driving histories. It is also noted that the Arlington Ave has a significant problem with poor driving behavior and has an existing cross section which encourages that behavior. Ryan Mears, where are you? Courts, where are you? This is what happens again. There's a couple of them where people are evading the police and then they get in a car accident, but yet it's on here. It makes no sense at all why this is even on the report. But let's break down all the numbers. We're going to finish this off. We're going to put a bow on it. All right, total number of crashes 18, really 5 of them. 5 is shouldn't even be on the report. Proportion of crashes involving prior serious 61%. If you were to take those 5 away, it'd be more like 84%. But what do we got here, folks? We got one motorcycle Darwin, another Darwin, motorcycle Darwin, moped Darwin, trike Darwin, uh, another Darwin motorcycle, and a Darwin with no license. A lot of these in this report between the August one, there were a lot of them motorcycles, and that was the basis of all of them. So let's count them all together. Out of all of the reports that they had 62 altogether. Now, if you were to say, well, take away some of them that had, like, why is this even in the report? If you include the private property ones, if you include someone died while they were driving, some kind of a medical emergency, uh, if you weren't to take those out, the priors of prior traffic offenses, 48.4%. If you were to take out the numbers or take out the reports that was like, why are they even in there? It would be well above 50%. But if you were to take, this is where the numbers really get funny. The recommendations. About 40 of those reports had no recommendations at all. Some of them you couldn't because they're a state highway, and other ones they just had none because it wasn't the infrastructure's fault of why these accidents happened. So going back to what they wanted to do, this is why my theory of they wanted to add serious bodily injuries in addition to fatal crashes. I said this not that long ago, was they're trying to flub the numbers. They're not seeing the numbers that they expected to happen because we both know why. It's a combination of the two. It's pedestrian and bicycle people that don't know what they're doing or they just don't care, and you have shitty drivers. And based on these numbers, it is pretty much 50-50%. So what do we do with all of that? Well, we need to recognize that all this is bullshit. It's all fake. It's all lame. And we need to call these people out on it. If you want things to change, you need to enforce the law. There needs to be a harsher punishment for repeat offenders. You need people like Ryan Mears out of office. Otherwise, he's just going to keep letting these assholes out. We need to call out the magistrates, we need to call out the judges, and we need to tell them to start doing their job, which is setting a high bail for these repeat offenders and making sure that they're off the street. Just making sure that they're doing their job. And I want to show you an example of something, of what I said earlier about a bicyclist. Weird, right? Now, what do we have here? We got red light. We got red light. Bicyclist is in a turning lane, not even in the straight lane over here, but the turning lane. And what happens? This guy is probably trying to turn right. He wants some Taco Bell. He wants a burrito. He wants a chimichanga, if they sell them there. Maybe an Arctic Blast. But I get it. There's 12 seconds left on the crosswalk, but you're not on the crosswalk. Now, I don't know if there's like a different rule that's applied, but I would almost guarantee you any average driver is expecting someone to cross the street on the crosswalk. He notices, right? And this guy's throwing a giant fit about it. And you can see everybody, and this guy's kind of getting ratioed a little bit about what's going on. Yeah, you're running a red light from a left U-turn. Yeah, on a bicycle at night, and the guy in the truck is the bad driver. To be fair, probably still a bad driver, but I would say like 90% of it's on the bicyclist. So I know that was probably a much longer video than I expected. I thought it'd only be like a half an hour, but I wanted to make sure that you guys all understood what is going on here and expected to get much worse with them trying to flub the numbers. People like John Barth and Andy Nilsson and that socialist Jesse Brown, they're all claiming that it's infrastructure problems. Now, that might be a little bit of it, but the majority of it is crappy pedestrians, crappy grape smugglers, and crappy drivers. I would say like 99% of all the problems is because of that, because of a combination of both. Now, if you want to get rid of the crappy drivers, you need to start enforcing the rules. I know this whole no turn on red light, there's no enforcement on that. And even if there was, what are they going to do? Pay the fine? But they're probably not going to pay the fine. So that's all I got. Hopefully you guys got a lot out of it. But if you got any questions, if you got any comments, just put them below. I'll have all the information of how to read all this stuff in the description. So until next time.